individuals who took their professional careers abroad and are living their absolute dreams. They're both here to share their stories. Let's unpack. By the age of 12, Soweto-born Thoriso Magongwa had toured extensively throughout South Africa as a ballet dancer. So it was only natural that he would make moves to work at a state-owned dance theatre in Czech Republic. These are their stories of working abroad. Let's unpack. Joining us via video con, we have Thoriso, who's in the Czech Republic. Welcome to the show, Thoriso.
Hello, Liv. It's great to be with you.
And joining us as well via video con is Mike, who's in the United Kingdom. Welcome to the show.
Hi, how are you? Thank you for having me.
I'm great, thank you. Thoriso, from your side, when were you introduced to ballet?
Well, I was fortunate enough to go to a very dynamic school called I.H. Harris Primary. And at school, we had a lot of activities. We had extramural activities, it's called. And we had rugby, we had tennis, we had all sorts of sport. And then one year, our principal decided to introduce ballet and dancing and all of that kind of creative, activity. And so I went and I auditioned. Very curious, little Thoriso. And of course, they said to me, look, you don't have the correct facilities for classical ballet. And that took me by surprise because I was like, what does it take? I was the kind of child I was teacher's pet at school. I was on the debating team. I was good at Stetford. I was prefect. I was one of those good kids. And for the first time, I was facing something that someone told me, no, you cannot do, or no, you're not qualified to do. And that really took me by surprise. And I said to them, okay, then break it down to me and let me know why.
Yeah.
And they said, well, your body shape, your body type, because I was a little bit overweight as a kid. Now that I think about it, not too overly, but for classical ballet, the physicality is very, very specific. And my feet were very stiff and, I was not very flexible. And so I said to them, okay, that is fine. But could you allow me to then attend the lessons? I'll be at the back and I'll be invisible. But just let me see what this is all about. And me being a very diligent student, I went to all the lessons and I stayed at the back. And I've always been a smart kid, so I picked up on all the things that they were teaching. And one day, one of the ballet teachers, her name is Linda Smith, she was a principal ballerina in South Africa. She said, she addressed the class and she said, just show me one of the exercises that she had taught the day prior. And the students didn't know. And little old me at the back of the classroom, I was like, okay, I know the exercise. And I had the chutzpah to go in front of her and show her that I knew the exercise. And since then, that was kind of like the turning point for me. And I was like, okay, this is something that I can put my mind to and really do something with it. Of course, there was the challenge of my body being a specific way, which led me into dieting, which led me into stretching and really pushing myself physically from a very, very young age. And understanding that in order for me to accomplish and to achieve certain things, that I had to put in the work. And in putting in the work, I fell helplessly in love with the art of classical ballet.
And how old were you at this time?
That time I was in the 6th grade, I think. So at about the age of 10, I think. Yeah, or about 10 years old.
But from your side, Thoriso, ballet has never been this mainstream big thing. So what was it for you that kept that fire burning? I mean, there's many schools that have ballet, but in terms of it being a lifelong career.
Well, my life has been very interesting because I've had to really look at myself as my own personal project. I'm listening to Mike and, he was fortunate enough to have someone like Dingantabela to look up to and to look at their career trajectory. I never had a Black ballet dancer in front of me from Soweto or anywhere around. I never saw any of that. My first experience of seeing ballet was at the State Theatre watching La Film Gardée, which was a completely white Caucasian company. And seeing a path for myself and thinking, how are you as Thoriso going to do something that's going to be an education, not just for my life, but be that person that you don't have in front of you. And I think that's what drove me to doing ballet. I figured as I was I went to the National School of the Arts later on, and I think I was one of the first Black boys to do ballet at the National School of the Arts. And I saw what that did to the people around me. I saw what that did for my family. I saw what that did as an education for even the staff around, that there's this, there's a Black boy that wants to do ballet now. And in just understanding the power in my own presence and understanding that my life could be something a little bit more than even what I had imagined for myself. I understood that I could be really living up to this thing called Thoriso. And I think that's where I got my gumption to just keep doing ballet. Later on, even traveling and coming to Europe, competing at different competitions and literally arriving as the first Black ballet boy to ever set foot in those kind of circles and seeing the impact that had. I've always been kind of the child or the person who was interested in telling a story and using myself, my looks, my life, my talent, my intelligence as a tool, and I really felt that ballet was really giving me the language to spread this message of possibility, which I really believe that my life is that the zeitgeist of my life is really possibility.
I absolutely love the juxtaposition of both of your journeys, where on the one hand, you've got Mike, who had this, tremendous mentor who had done it before with the footsteps that you're able to say, okay, this is at least the route I can go, versus yourself, Thoriso, where you were like, okay, I'm going to be the one breaking the ceilings. I'm going to be the first, which I think is quite beautiful. Thoriso, and for you, when did this, obviously a school like NSA is already modeling the idea that this is for life. But when did it become a reality that, oh my goodness, this is definitely something that can be my life?
For me personally, it was the reality from the onset. Once I actually understood that after training in a ballet school, you can join a company and it is a lucrative paying career, it was very real. My first check, my first paying gig, so to speak, was when I was, I think, about 17 years old, dancing, still at school. I got to dance with the then South African ballet company. And I was a guest artist for a Swan Lake production, and I got my first check. I finished matric and immediately joined a youth ballet company in South Africa, Ballet Theatre African. And I had my salary. So while my friends were going to school, studying and all of that, I was working already. And my goal was to see where I can take this. After understanding that it was an international career, that is immediately where my eyes were set on. I wanted to go and see where, how, what, and I wanted all of that, So I understood very early that it was a paying career and I wanted it to be my career. What was very interesting in my case, so to speak, was deciding where to go as a Black person, which is a whole different game as a ballet dancer. The race card became a thing because now here I am going into a very Eurocentric art form where Black people are not very common. And so you have to find a way and go to countries and cities and companies that are big on inclusion and diversity. And I'll give you a big example is where I am right now in Czech Republic. I'm literally the very first Black person to ever work for Národní divadlo Brno, the first Black person to work in this opera house, where we have Chinora, which is the drama. We have the opera, we have the ballet department. I'm the only person of color in this entire huge national establishment. And, even in them getting me, it's weird for me to say this, and I hate to speak about color and race and all of those things, but they are a reality. I've often gotten the pass because I look a certain way. I don't look so Black, some people used to say. You know, you look more Eurocentric, or you look more I pass, you know, and it's quite a tricky thing to figure out, because on one hand, I have to be grateful then that I pass. And on the other hand, I have to also think, what about my other Black people who do not pass, who are darker than me, who do not look like me, who are not like me, you know? And it was a very tricky thing for me to navigate. But I also understood that if I come into this environment with a shield and a spear and trying to fight the Black thing, it's going to create animosity and it's going to create resistance. So what I had to do is smarten up, get in this wall, and then start the process of educating. And educating not through words, but through presence. Being there, working, showing them that I am of equal right in terms of delivery, talent, in terms of humanity, behaving a certain way, being polite, arriving on time, leaving the theater, you know, just being the best version of Thoriso, not playing the Black or the white card. And in them seeing that, they then are forced to acknowledge me, Thoriso, the person. Then thereafter they realize, but Thoriso is Black, but Thoriso is also professional. So it opened up their thought processes to what it would mean to have another Black person or another person of color in our environment. And over the years, even though I've only been the only one here, I think now, after 6 years, there's another person of color who's come in, which was like a great thing for me. I know that's very small in terms of what the world is, but in our world, it's huge to have two people of color in a ballet company in the east of Europe, you know. So, you know, these kind of things they are the days of our lives. They are our reality. And we have to understand that the world is only built step by step. And if you want to be something and be something for whatever it is that you're doing, you've got to understand the progress and the process.
And it is a big deal. And I think it's important that you were mentioning the colorism aspect of it, just in the sense that it might be easier for someone like you because you aren't as dark-skinned, you're light-skinned, and maybe on stage it's not that noticeable. And I think it's important that you mention that. So Thoriso, what was the opportunity that came to you that then you ended up going to Czech Republic?
Oh, gosh. The opportunity. Well, like many dancers around the world, we live in the world of auditions. It's almost like being a model, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
Lots of auditions around the world. And Czech Republic had auditions. I came, I auditioned, I got the contract. So it wasn't, there's no interesting story or anything tricky about it. They auditioned, I came, and I got the contract.
And how has the journey been for you, you know, since you arrived, outside of the possible culture shock? What has the journey been like for you? Because to be able to say you are a dancer at a ballet company, you know, in another country, and you are working, especially during the times we're living in, is amazing.
Well, the journey has been quite immense, I must say. Firstly, arriving to a place with the history of the Czech Republic, or Czechoslovakia, as most people still call it now, is quite immense. You know, this is Eastern Europe. The race card is quite something. I think I could easily say for the first 4 months, I might have seen 2 Black people in my city, 2 other who were actually passing by. They were not even living here. Understanding that, you know, I cannot just go to, we don't have like your equivalent of Clicks or Pick and Pay where I can go buy hair products or cosmetics and stuff like that, because there are no Black people in the city. So they don't have our products. You know, having to learn to live my life via the internet and to understand that everywhere I go, that is not in the theater, that I'm not going to meet necessarily people who are open to having someone like me around. And I'm also quite an eccentric person, as you can see how I'm dressed and how I present myself. I'm not easily passable as Mr. Nobody or Mr. Joe Average. So that was quite something that really needed me to hold on to my strength as a person and understand where I really want to go in my own personal capacity. And also just facing the simple fact of living away from the comforts of home, living away from the comforts of family, living away from the comforts of friends and familiarity. You know, people who live in their birth country take it for granted how important it is for one to be able to just go to your mother's house on a Sunday afternoon and have lunch with them. You know, that on a day after I've had a hectic rehearsal and a show that has broken my body to pieces, that I just wish I could go to my mom's house, cry, and ask my dad to buy me something nice and just indulge. I don't have that, you know, and it was really, really difficult. But in those moments, I had to also remember that this is exactly what I prayed for, what I said I wanted, and that my life was not just about me, but was about the other Black child that's looking at me thinking that they would also wish to live across the world and have this euphoric career as a dancer or as just another person living in another country. So it's been very, very hard, but also it has been rewarding. You know, I think as many people know, when you travel the world and when you exchange with different cultures, you really grow as a person. I don't think I really fully understood who I was until I came to live overseas. I learned my strengths, I learned my weaknesses, I learned what challenges me and what is very, very important and what is not. Being a person who I really view myself as a maverick that is navigating the world and trying to understand what it really means to be a global citizen of the universe. And what that means is that you really do take yourself everywhere you go in the world. Whether you are in South Africa, whether you're in another country, you do take yourself. So the most important thing and the value that I've learned in my life is to build Thoriso fully, to really understand who Thoriso is as a person without the talent, without the looks, without the family, and without everything. To understand that as I stand in the street and as I stand at Moravskenamisti and catch my tram, that I am a single soul that is in search and in pursuit of purpose and destiny. And, you know, and that really arms me to be able to go into my career, to walk into an office, to go into a meeting and demand certain things because I really am full in who I am as a person. And I think living here has given me those tools.
Thoriso, you are currently on a contract in the Czech Republic. What do you think is next for you?
Well, as I said in one interview that haunts me still, that what I would like to become, I'm yet to see. So, I mean, we're living in a world that things are constantly evolving. We have social media that has opened new careers. We have YouTube. We have the industry as a ballet dancer. I'm trying to navigate all worlds and find a segue that I can be Thoriso in all those things. I don't ever like to say I would like to become this and I would like to become that, because I really think I'm a multifaceted person. I'm multi-talented. I have strengths in many avenues. And I'm just trying to figure out a way where I can pull all these things and create a Thoriso career, you know. Of course, I'm going to stay in the arts. I'm going to stay in the ballet world, but possibly later on becoming an artistic director, becoming a ballet master. I would love to serve as a communication gap between the audience, the artistic management, direction, and to just really put and be an advocate of ballet and the arts out there. You know, I would love to be a strong voice for that. I happen to also have my own YouTube channel where I do a lot of reviews on theatre experiences, different ballets, some hospitality stuff. I quite enjoy being in front of the camera, so I think I might explore that also. And like I say, I mean, we're living in 2021, so things are possible. You know, I don't ever want to limit myself and say, I want to become this or I want to become that. All I know is whatever I do, I want to be the greatest version of Thoriso at it.
Thank you so much, Thoriso and Mike. The both of you are just such shining examples that there are ample possibilities. And not to say we don't have amazing possibilities right here at home, but it's amazing that you guys are flying the South African flag high, both in the UK and also in the Czech Republic in your respective careers. Thank you so much to the both of you for chatting to us.
Thank you. Thank you for having us.
Hashtag unpacked with Relebogile. South Africans making it abroad and making us exceptionally proud. Thank you so much for joining us. Have a good night.